Hello, I'm United States Senator Saxby Chambliss, and welcome again to our YouTube report. We're back in Washington now, so we will continue to do this on somewhat of a weekly basis as the issues present themselves. This week has been a particularly interesting week in Washington because here in the United States Senate, we saw the Republicans get together and make our response to the elections that took place recently. The American people said they wanted sanity restored in Washington from a fiscal standpoint. And the Republican conference voted almost unanimously earlier this week to reform the earmark process by basically eliminating all earmarks as we move forward over the next 2 years, and then to seek a real reform of that process. In addition to that, we voted to move towards a constitutional amendment requiring Congress to balance its budget each and every year. Why should Congress ask each and every one of you to sit around your kitchen table every week or every month and attempt to balance your budget when Congress is out of control when it comes to a spending standpoint? You know, fiscal responsibility is an issue that was of utmost importance in the recent elections, and I think all of America has spoken loudly and clearly on this issue. As we move forward, I think you're going to see some major changes take place on both sides of the aisle with respect to this issue. Now, that being said, I think it is important to remember too that each of us have a responsibility to ensure that in times of crisis or when economic demands dictate it, that we've got to make sure that we're doing everything we can to represent our state, and I'm going to continue to do that in the right way and in a fiscally responsible way. Let me mention another issue that's been very much front and center here in Washington over the last couple of days, and that's the issue of trying terrorists in civilian courts here in the United States. I've been very much opposed to that. I don't think it's right, I don't think it's fair, and I don't think the courts of the United States were ever intended to try battlefield combatants here on U.S. soil. We've never done that before. But we've just seen in the last few days basically an acquittal of a terrorist for activity committed in the explosion of buildings where Americans were killed and other individuals were killed. You know, we've got a number of enemy combatants that we are holding down at Guantanamo Bay. The president said over a year ago that he wanted to close Guantanamo Bay, but he had no plan to do it, and therefore he found out very quickly, as did the Department of Justice, that it's simply not that easy to do because the people that are left at Guantanamo are hardened criminals, individuals who want to commit jihad against an American at every opportunity. That's one reason it's been very hard for them to come up with a plan to close Guantanamo. Now, the president, in addition to trying Mr. Giuliani in New York over the last several days and the United States basically losing that case because we weren't able to present evidence that was obtained somewhat on the battlefield, and now the president wants to continue down the road of trying these individuals here in the United States, including the trial of Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, the mastermind of September 11. That's not only a huge mistake on the part of this administration to think that they can try him in a civilian court in the United States, but it's likely to result in a similar situation to the recent trial of Giuliani that took place in New York City. We have military tribunals that are in place that have already tried 3 terrorists in Guantanamo Bay. That's where the trial should take place. That's why military tribunals were established in the early days of our country. That's their purpose, and that's where those individuals ought to be tried. As we move ahead over the next several days, we're moving into a holiday season, and as you sit around the table and enjoy these holidays with your family, please say a special Thanksgiving blessing for all of those men and women in uniform of the United States of America who are protecting us not only those who serve in Iraq and Afghanistan, but all of those men and women who serve both domestically and abroad to ensure that America remains the safest and most secure country in the world. God bless you, and may God continue to bless the United States of America.